This news today is causing Tesla's stock to fall over 1% at the time of recording this video. And I mean, this news is everywhere. They're really pushing out this narrative. It's actually news that we reported on yesterday. Glass Lewis urges shareholders to reject Musk's pay package. This is the equivalent of paying a contract company to build you a pool, let's say in your backyard, and 5 years later you say, hey, I want my money back. I don't want this pool anymore. Just to put an analogy to this, it is outright ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, Elon Musk's pay package will go through with probably flying colors. If it does not, we have a bigger problem on our hands that could lead to substantial downside in Tesla stock. I will not sugarcoat that for you. Good news is Glass Lewis, they voted against Elon Musk's last pay package as well in 2018. And it still went through by a vast majority of shareholders. What I find interesting though about today is this news is everywhere, but the market's overlooked a huge piece of news that's getting no attention. It's actually this from Benzinga. Tesla China employees registered for FSD beta program. A screenshot leak teases impending nod from Beijing. Despite the appearance of the new wording on certain employee vehicles, no FSD supervised features have been activated yet. Teslarati reported, citing an employee source who shared a screenshot to a Tesla tracker on Twitter. Benzinga could not independently verify the report. If you are unaware, Elon Musk visited China last month and met with officials, including Premier Li Qiang. The CEO also reportedly received tentative approval to test its software in the country. And this is the post itself from Chris Zhang. It says, I can confirm that since the spring update, Tesla OS V12, some Tesla China employees' cars have had the words Employee FSD Beta Program registered on them, but no features can be enabled. The point here is, this is only a matter of time. And as we see with FSD's progress lately, it probably won't be that long until FSD is actually offered to customers of Tesla in China, which I would speculate, given Chinese nature, really centric around technology, it wouldn't surprise me if the take rate for full self-driving is a lot higher than it is here in the US. And yes, that could be a material positive impact to Tesla and Tesla stock. So I would imagine when that news comes out, you're going to see one hell of a day for Tesla stock. And honestly, it could happen anytime. It could happen right now. It could happen tomorrow. I don't really think there's a super long wait for this. I mean, Tesla has partnered with Baidu and they're keeping all of the data in China ever since 2020. I mean, there's not a lot holding Tesla back from actually starting to implement the testing of FSD in China. Chime in down below in the comment section. What is your thoughts around this? Do you think FSD is coming to China, or at least Tesla employees in China, in the near-term future? Or do you think this is still quite a few months away? Tesla China insured units for the week of May 20th through the 26th came in at 13,200, a very strong number comparing to the same week last year when deliveries came in at 12,800. So that is a positive year-over-year growth. And comparing to the prior year where you only had 1,510, it looks really impressive. Now, I do think this would have had a positive impact to Tesla stock if this Glass Lewis news was not being thrown around everywhere. I mean, Wall Street is really pushing that narrative that you should vote against Elon Musk's pay package. After all, there's almost a $19 billion incentive to push that narrative. $19 billion is the current amount in short positions in Tesla. If shorts get their way, I should say, and the vote fails, then they're going to make a lot of money. If the vote passes, in which I think there's a very low likelihood that it will fail, then the shorts stand to lose a lot of money. So there's a lot riding on June 13th. But more on all of this in just a few moments. And again, I do believe Tesla stock would be trading materially higher today if it was not for this shareholder vote fear. Tesla has secured a new $150 million or more Megapack contract for a new battery in Australia. It will be the first 8-hour battery to be built in Australia. Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson, in a new interview, said this: Tesla seems to be distracted. There's an interest in social media, even politics, and it's kind of losing its way. I don't see it having the singular sense of purpose, and I think it really falls to Lucid to take the technology to a whole new level now. This comes after Lucid stock is down 95% from its all-time high. So to put things lightly, I'll believe that when I see it. The 2025 Rivian R1 certification document reveals new LFP battery pack, standard heat pump, new interiors, and no more 21-inch wheels. Nissan turns to gigacasting to slash cost and complexity of future EVs. The automaker follows Tesla as it aims to reduce part expenses by 10% and save $1 billion in development costs. And finally, someone is catching on. Bloomberg is reporting the slowdown in US electric vehicle sales looks more like a blip than something that's actually meaningful for the long term. If you take a look at US first quarter sales by model, you can see the Model Y is in the lead with about 100,000 registrations. The Model 3 is number 2 at just under 40,000. Toyota has unveiled plans for a new generation of internal combustion engines. Toyota's CEO says, quote, "In an era when the development of battery EV technology is accelerating, there is a new role we can pursue for the internal combustion engine as well. Variants of these new engines will be capable of running on diesel and petrol as well as on lower emission or carbon neutral fuels such as hydrogen or so-called e-fuel. This is part of a wider bet that alternative fuels made using electricity from renewable hydrogen and other gases will allow car makers to keep selling combustion engine vehicles that meet environmental regulations. This is a joint partnership between Toyota, Mazda, and Subaru that are both part owned by Toyota. They also unveiled prototype engines today. What did not hit the mainline Wall Street narrative today was this. Although Toyota would not comment on its level of investment in the new engines, the group's chief technology officer, Hiroki Nachima, probably butchered that, sorry dude, said it was a magnitude smaller than the funding being poured into electric vehicles and battery development. So even though this was touted as something that's going to challenge Tesla, they're going to pour a fraction of the money into these new engines as they are still in battery electric vehicles. Tesla says you can win a tour of Tesla's Giga Texas factory with Elon Musk and Franz von Holzen if you vote your shares in the upcoming annual shareholder meeting. Quote, "Tour the Cybertruck and Model Y manufacturing lines with Elon Musk and other Tesla executives with a private group of stockholders on June 12th, the day before the annual stockholder meeting. You will also have a reserved seat at the annual stockholders meeting on June 13th. So if there was no other reason you wanted to go out and vote your Tesla stock, if you think your vote doesn't matter, a good reason to go vote is, well, maybe you can win this cool experience. George, senior manager of site acquisition and business development for commercial charging at Tesla, was recently rehired. He said on LinkedIn, quote, "Charging is still one of the main blockers to EV adoption, and there is much work to be done. I'm excited to get back to working with them to solve this." I mean, I have to agree. I mean, charging is the most important thing that Tesla should be focused on right now as far as EV adoption. Chargers are just not that common in some areas. If you live in Michigan like I do, it's far and few between, especially for a Tesla charger. And if you only are able to charge your Tesla at home, which is pretty much the scenario that I'm in, I've only been to a Tesla, supercharger a handful of times in my local area, and it's a big inconvenience because you got to drive way out of the way of your destination to actually get there. Just to kind of put apples to apples, if you buy an internal combustion engine, you don't need to have a gas station or a gas pump at your house, right? Clearly, nobody, I'm sure, has that. Maybe somebody does, but nobody watching this video does. But when you have an EV, you have to have a charger at your house. We need to get to the point where you don't have to have a charger at your house. And some people don't, clearly. But if you live in Michigan like I do, you have to. That's a necessity. And that's what keeps a lot of the mass market away from going fully electric. So Tesla's starting to hire back some of these key executives, some of these individuals that are really pushing for more chargers and site acquisitions to bring more chargers online is a positive. It's something Tesla cannot stop doing. And just as a reminder, this special 0.99% loan rate for the Model Y, which is available to US residents, ends this Friday evening, May 31st. Tesla is offering a 1.39% interest rate on the Model 3 and the Model Y for vehicles in Chile. But Chile is a very early market for Tesla, so don't expect any big numbers to come out of this country. Italy has launched auto incentives for 2024. A 240 million euros is for a substantial electric vehicle credit. The BEV price cap is 42,700 euros, and Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y rear-wheel drive vehicles are eligible for a minimum of a 6,000 euro incentive. Depending on the ISEE and additional things, you can also get more incentives. Tesla China's Model 3, the new refreshed Model 3, just came in at the highest weekly insured registration numbers since it launched back in, October or so in China. It was a little bit later, obviously, here in the US, but it launched back in about October, and it just came in at 5,400. So if we could see an acceleration of deliveries for the Model 3 in China, that would also be good news. Another Tesla delivery center in Xi'an, China is pretty dang filled. From what we can see here, basically every single lot has a car in it, which I do think throughout the rest of 2024, we are going to see things actually accelerate for Tesla in China, in the US, and globally. Elon Musk was very clear on the last earnings call that he is expecting a positive year-over-year growth rate for deliveries this year in 2024. As I mentioned in the last video, there are some pretty interesting earnings this week. Today and after hours, you have Kava, Digital Turbine, Box, Heiko, Joy, Oma, and Kosin, I think is how you say that. Tomorrow pre-market, Abercrombie & Fitch, Chewy, Dick's Sporting Goods, Advanced Auto Parts, BMO, and others. Wednesday and after hours, Salesforce, C3 AI, UiPath, Okta, HP, and American Eagle Outfitters. Thursday pre-market, Canopy Growth, Kohl's, Foot Locker, Dollar General, Best Buy, Hormel Foods, Burlington, Birkenstock, and Build-A-Bear Workshop. And then Thursday and after hours, this is going to be your biggest day this week for earnings. You have Costco, Dell, Zscaler, Marvell, MongoDB, Ulta Beauty, Centennial One, Viva, and NetApp. So there's still quite a few earnings that could have an impact to even the broader markets, like Dell. Option orders today by Big Money is quite interesting. Overall, you're 60% positive. This number reads 3 orders totaling $700,000. That looks inaccurate because I see, 6 orders right here alone. So I don't know what to make of that, but take a look at this specific option that is being targeted. It's an October 18th 150 put. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these trades right here alone. Some of these are as high as $300,000. A lot of them are around $200,000. So someone's betting roughly $1 million that Tesla, either stays above 150 or falls under 150 by October 18th. It's unclear if these are selling, these are puts actually being sold, or if these are puts actually being bought. We are seeing some very bullish trades as well, like this June 14th 190 call for $118,000 in premium. Here you have another big trade for August 16th, the 175 call with a break even of about $195 per share. This trade for over $2.2 million. So the option activity from big money today is a little bit harder to read. Some of it looks bearish, some of it looks really dang bullish. As I mentioned previously, there's still a massive short position in Tesla, 3.79% short interest of free float, $18.86 billion currently in short positions, 105.12 million shares that are currently sold short. With a cost to borrow fee of almost 9% today, that does indicate that there's probably a lot of shorting activity taking place today. The higher the cost to borrow fee, the more likely it is that shorts are trying to get their hands on shares to short. Supply and demand would dictate if there's more demand than supply, cost to borrow fees would be higher. Over on StockTwits, today's sentiment is bearish for Tesla at 44. Yesterday, it was neutral at 47, so relatively unchanged from yesterday. Message volume today is a little bit on the low side as well, coming in normal at 52. Yesterday, you were high at 61, and the participation ratio is coming in as normal, but definitely on the lower side than we have seen recently, as high as 57 and 58. Google Trends data for the Tesla lineup continues to show strength. This is for the Cybertruck, which is absolutely exploding, still sitting at 88, which is, I mean, just straight up. Like, if this was a stock, you would want to own this, right? I think the same kind of basic example works with Tesla stock. Eventually, all of this interest into Tesla will translate into better business fundamentals for the company. Question is, when does that happen? When does the Cybertruck actually give the rest of the Tesla brand a halo effect? Let me know down below in the comment section. But if we take a look at the Model Y that recently hit a low of 39 over here on Google Trends, currently now at 40, so more interest into Tesla's Model Y is starting to happen, and I expect as we head into the end of May, we're going to see the Model Y tick up even further. The Model 3 recently went from 23 to 24, so that's an uptrend there. The Model S went from 11 to 12, that's also an uptrend. The Model X has stayed right at about 10, so not much change there. Google Trends data for full self-driving is remaining remarkably stable here at about 24. This is after the free trial has ended, suggesting that maybe the take rate is after all higher, and I think that could be a big catalyst coming on Tesla earnings, and hopefully we get more clarity on that. Elon Musk recently said that over 2%, well, he said a lot more than 2% of individuals that previously did not subscribe to FSD or purchase FSD have now. So that could be 6%, that could be 8%, that could be 10%. We do not know what that number is, and that is going to make a material difference to Tesla's bottom line, profitability, and ultimately EPS. And that's why FSD in China could be such a big catalyst. It's basically just a software update, and you're going to see 90% plus net margins to the bottom line, which is directly accretive to shareholder value. For an example, if Tesla's FSD free trial or FSD entering China were to boost Tesla's full year EPS by only 25 cents times a 60 PE multiple, that would increase Tesla's stock value today by about $15, which would put the stock at about $190. So you could theoretically see an 8% rally alone justifiably based on, 25 cents of additional EPS, which obviously the ultimate EPS number from FSD in China and the US is going to be a lot higher than that. That's just to kind of show you what things could look like. And that's why Tesla reacted so positively that, 15% move higher when it was announced that FSD maybe entering Tesla soon. That was back here on April 26th. 50.5% of stocks out there on the markets are trading above their 50-day moving average. In fact, almost 1% of all stocks today are falling under that 50-day moving average. Still an okay number we're at right now, but it's not showing a broad-based rally at all. In fact, quite the opposite. As the Nasdaq is up a 0.5% today, the average stock is actually declining. This is becoming a more narrow market. And all of the gains that you are seeing today are happening from just a few stocks. Amazon, barely positive. Google is up a 0.5%. Apple is up a 0.5%. But it's really the chip companies. Point your finger at Nvidia, that is up 7% today, that is carrying all of the weight for the market. So even though Tesla stock is down and it looks like the Nasdaq is up a 0.5%, in all actuality, the markets don't look that good today. So be a little hesitant to draw conclusions here. You can also see the VIX is up about 3%. The VIX rises as more puts are being bought on the S&P 500. So the higher the VIX goes, the more fear that is out there. The VIX is commonly referred to as a fear gauge or a rush to safety, a hedge to hedge out portfolios. And you can see the Dow is getting smacked in the face today, absolutely disrespected, down 0.6%. 10-year Treasury yields are up over 5 basis points today to 4.52%. And that is having a big downward effect on markets today. Some Fed comments today are really the reason for this. Fed Kashkari says we could stay on hold for an indefinite period of time. But there were also positive things that were said by Kashkari as well. He said, quote, "I think the odds of the Fed raising rates are quite low." But let's be honest, none of these Fed speakers have any idea what's going on in the economy or what's going to go on in the economy or what's going to happen with inflation. So you really need to take it with a grain of salt, anything that they say, but the markets, they pay very close attention. But more on what the Fed said today and what we have in store for markets coming tomorrow in the next video. Here today, Tesla stock is under your 20-day moving average. RSI is at 45. MACD is still positive, although it's actually looking pretty good right now. Can't complain all too much with where the MACD is. It's just not a stellar day for Tesla, which, if we're being honest with each other, I do think there are way better days to come for Tesla stock over this summer as we head into June 13th and Elon's comp package is reinstated. Tesla earnings around June 20th. July 31st should be the first cut from the Fed, and your robotaxi unveil on August 8th. These are 4 definitive catalysts that all should be positive for Tesla. I think the bar is set quite low, and I think there's a lot of bad news priced into Tesla stock even after you've rallied from the lows. Still with the stock trading at 176, you're not pricing in that much good news. Nonetheless, guys, I could go on and on and on about that specific topic. I will leave it off on that note. If you guys want more clarity, information, details, what's going on with Tesla and our markets, make sure to stay tuned to the channel, hit that notification bell, and or subscribe if you have not done so already and you are listening to my voice. It is free 99 to do all of those things, including hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, like I just said. I will see you guys in the next video at 8 p.m. If you guys indeed want to come trade with us live in real time, check out that link down below in the description of this video. I did make a swing trade on a stock that's up about 20% today, rumored to be partnering with Nvidia here soon. Only a $4 million market cap that could be an AI sleeper that's comparable to SoundHound that Nvidia did recently just make an investment in that went quite parabolic afterwards. It's only an 18-cent stock, which is kind of crazy. It's really flying under the radar here, but we'll see. Did make a trade on it. If you guys want to see it, check out that link down below in the description of this video. But nonetheless, enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next one.